Now, some of you might be saying, hey, Ayden, I thought you only upload once a week. Well, I decided to do something special for you guys. To celebrate the release of the new Godzilla movie, I decided to make a top 10 best, and next week I'm going to be making a top 10 worst Godzilla films. Now, let's get on to number 10. Also, remember, this is my opinion. For number 10, I decided to go for something that most people actually don't like, but I actually really enjoy, and that would be Godzilla 1985. I actually really enjoy this movie. This is the only movie I really like with the Raymond Burr character in it. I don't like all the subtle advertisements. I think that's really stupid, but everything else in it is pretty amazing. It's not one of the best films in the franchise. That's why it's number 10. But it's better than most of the other, most of the Showa era stuff. This is a great start to the Heisei series. It's not as good as the other Heisei stuff, but it's pretty up there. It's one of the better ones. And I recommend you guys go give it a watch. Most people actually don't even know this one exists. Not many people talk about it. And this is one of the few ones where that they did in 1954, or they re-edited it, but now it's not friggin' terrible like they did with 1954, but still a really good film. And either country that you watch it in, if you watch the original version of the movie and then if you watch the American version, they're both really good. The only problem with the American version is that it has all these subtle advertisements that are really, really stupid. And in Japan, it's also called The Return of Godzilla, not Godzilla 1985. That's just here. Wow, time for another black sheep in the franchise that I actually like. That is going to be Terror of Mechagodzilla, the kind of sequel to Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, but it's kind of not at the same time. It's like they had to use the same suits so to save money, because this was the last Godzilla film of this Showa era. So they just made another movie with Mechagodzilla right after the last one. And this movie bombed at the box office. This was the worst Godzilla selling movie of all time. And it was a great movie. It used its low budget and it actually made a good movie. The only parts that didn't make sense to me were the apes thing. I was like, But everything else in it was great. The monster action in this movie was brilliant. It's one of the best in the movie. But it's kind of ruined by the acting in the movie, which is so-so. But everything else in it is just fine. It's a great movie, but it's just a little slow. That's expected, and it's going to be a stranger film. You gotta look at that when you're watching it. You gotta have to know that, because this movie is strange. It's not as strange as the next one in the list, but it's gonna be. This is one of the weirder ones. And if I would give it a score, I'd probably give it a 7. But it's really good. I really like this movie. It's just, it has some problems, and it's one of the cheaper made ones, but that's okay. And also introduced one of my favorite monsters, which is Titanosaurus, so that's great. And this is one of the goriest Godzilla movies, actually. Same with Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. But yeah, there's a lot of gore in this, so be prepared. And it should not be rated G. It should be rated PG-13, but they didn't have it back then. So I give this one a good. So time for the next one. Oh, you guys knew I couldn't resist this one. This is one of the weirdest, but one of the best Godzilla movies ever made, and you can tell that the directors were high as crap and they're up this entire project, because the entire time there's people turning to fish and there's a theme song with words in it, and that's not normal for a Godzilla film. And then there's friggin' oil painting of Godzilla. It's so dumb in parts, but so much fun. Some of the acting is pretty terrible, and it's one of the freaking Kenny's from the Gamera series. But besides that, everything's great in this movie. This is one of the best movies you can actually see. It's really silly. It's probably one of the weirdest ones, that's to be expected. And the directors took some LSD, I'm sure, because it's the 70s and there's some freaking weird stuff going on in there. Like, there's like a reference to like the Blob or something like that. I don't know if it's a reference, but there's nothing like that in the movie where it like consumes people. It's just so random and it makes no sense. And then like the cat comes from it, but like everybody who's been touched by it dies, but the cat's still alive. Like, what the heck is happening? And it's so much fun, but it's stupid, but it's really good, and I like it. It's hard to explain why I like this one. It's just a guilty pleasure. That's it. Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones, and it's really stupid. You can tell I'm gonna start liking these movies more and more as I go on. But sheesh, this movie is so much fun, and it's just so stupid as well. This movie actually gave me nightmares when I was younger. I don't know why. It might be the like little slang thing in it. It's probably because the Blob gave me nightmares. But that was just, oh my gosh, this movie. I feel like I've taken the LSD with them because that's what this movie feels like. If I remember House, that's what it was like. It's like House, but not as bad, but still really bad. You can still feel high as crap while watching it. And it is one of the weirder movies in the series, but it's great. It's fun. Also, this is the film that had one of the best Godzilla scenes of all time. Godzilla flying away. Now this is when the stuff starts getting good. This is one of the Heisei films, and it's one of the best ones in the Heisei series, and that is going to be Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, or Ghidorah. And it is really good, and the only problem with it is that the way that they have King Ghidorah show up is through these little, like, rat things, and that's the only problem with it, but everything else is great. I love how at the end Godzilla just turns around and starts destroying everything. There isn't much to say about this one because it's just good. Go watch it. The acting is kind of just meh, but this is one of the better ones. This is one of the better Godzilla designs. I love the like death at the end where that guy's like, oh, Godzilla remembers me. He just gets blown up. It was pretty funny. And the rest of the movie is just good. It's a good movie. It shows the origin of Godzilla, which is always confusing because they always change it. I like this one the most for the origin of it because it makes the most sense out of all the origins. But even though that's not what happens with nuclear radiation. This isn't the last time you're going to see Godzilla and King Ghidorah against each other in this list. There's going to be a few more. Okay, and now time for the next one. Now we're going to get to one of the original Godzilla movies, which is going to be Godzilla vs. Mothra. Godzilla vs. Mothra did a lot of firsts for the franchise, and that would be having Godzilla fight Mothra, and also it was one of the first movies to use the Godzilla theme. The dun, 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 dun. That was first in this movie, and also this was the first movie to have music with song lyrics, which is all made by every single song in the Godzilla franchise has been made by Akira Ifukube. I don't think I pronounced that right. Which it's some of the best music in the movie series, like literally ever. And this is also the first one to introduce the twins from the Mothra movies. And this is one of the first where Godzilla is actually defeated, besides King Kong versus Godzilla, which nobody really knows. This movie is really good. The acting is probably some of the best in the franchise. It's Godzilla's silliest appearance, but his costume's really, really dumb in this one, but that's okay. We forgive you. There's like this giant egg that like washes up during a hurricane, and then like some person's trying to sell it, even though how are they gonna sell that? That thing is like literally humongous. How are you gonna sell that? And the movie's just really good. There's not much to say about it except for it's excellent. It's an excellent movie. And as also I like to add, rest in peace, Akira. For number 5, we went for the first of the Millennium series, which is going to be Godzilla 2000. Godzilla 2000 is a solid film. It's one of the best ones of the Millennium era, and everything has aged extremely well except for the robot at the end. That looks really dumb, but everything else in this movie has aged really well, considering this was in the age of CGI. So you can see, like, it still looks good, except for mainly the ship. Everything else is great. This is one of my favorite Godzilla designs. It is really, it's more weird than all the other Godzilla designs. I can't put my finger on why, but it's stranger than all the other ones. And this was at the time the biggest Godzilla, and this is the first movie with Orga, and it's the only movie, actual Godzilla movie with Orga in it so far. So, and Orga only is in the movie for about 10 minutes, so there's that. And this is just a solid film. Not much to say. When we get to these later entries, there's not going to be much for me to say because these are just solid films. And I will see you guys next week because this video is already really long and I don't want to make it longer. So this is going to be part 1. There's part 2 coming out next week. So see you guys next week.